Welcome into the latest episode of DVD News here on The Crow Show YouTube channel. My name is The Crow Show, and just a friendly reminder, I do stream on Twitch every Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Twitch.tv/The Crow Show. There's a lot to cover today. Let's talk about the 4.2.2 patch notes and the bug fixes. We'll just go over the highlights. Then there's a major developer update. And then we'll talk a little bit about the Shrine of Secrets. Cheryl has a new outfit, and then we'll wrap it up. So the 4.2.2 patch notes. The Blight can now break pallets and breakable walls by attacking during a lethal rush. So this is a lot like the Demogorgon. The Demogorgon, he can shred pallets and breakable walls. If I get motivated enough, maybe I'll put some footage right here of comparing the two. The Demogorgon's power definitely is a lot better than the Blight's because he can just shred. The Blight has to bounce off something before doing a lethal rush, so it's not quite as powerful. It's still pretty interesting. There was an add-on for this, but it looks like they're just building it into the default of the Blight. And if you remember, this was the exact same thing for the Demogorgon. The Demogorgon, by default, did not have this at release, and a big thanks to my friend Dino for reminding me of that. For the Blight, the add-on Compound 21 has been adjusted. So the reveal range was 16 meters. So they changed that to 8 meters, and the duration is 3 seconds now, instead of 6 seconds for seeing the aura. Here's the bug fixes. I'm just going to talk about the notable ones. There was an issue where killers could not hook survivors, and breaking pallets and damaging generators stopped shortly after pressing the input. I experienced this a little bit as the killer. You no longer have to drop a survivor before putting him back on a hook if you run into that bug. And I guess there was a bug where fixing an issue that may cause the survivor to be stuck on the hook without being able to do anything. And there's some other fixes there, but they're not quite as substantial. The other big news of this week was the developer notes released for September 2020. So Chapter 16 review. With the upcoming mid-chapter, we are kicking off a new initiative to review the previously released chapter, the Killer, their perks, and the Survivor perks, and make any changes that are needed. And the first to receive the treatment is the Silent Hill chapter. So they talked about this in the most recent developer Q&A, and I'm really excited about this. There's a lot of info to take in here. I'll leave a link to the actual developer update, but we will review it right now. Increasing the delay after canceling Rites of Judgment before Pyramid can attack. The reason for this change is to add a downside to canceling your power at each pallet or window. Currently, the survivor is left with two choices: vault the window or drop the pallet, and get hit with Punishment of the Damned, or continue running and get hit with a basic attack. By increasing the delay before you can do a basic attack after canceling Rites of Judgment, the survivor gets a small window to avoid an attack, similar to the Huntress or Demogorgon. I love this change because it was so hard to juke Pyramid Head when he's dragging his sword, and there's literally zero cooldown between him doing that and then him just swiping. This is something I've been begging for since Pyramid Head was released, so I'm really thankful. Decreasing the delay after attacking with Punishment of the Damned. Missing an attack with Punishment of the Damned can feel very punishing. Oh, the irony. The cooldown after attacking is fairly long, which gives the survivor a lot of time to gain distance. By lowering the cooldown, you'll be able to use your power more liberally without having it backfire as hard as if you miss. I like this change quite a bit because I think this power in particular is very well balanced. But at the same time, if you miss, you're screwed. Big time. So I think that's a welcome change for Pyramid Head. Perk changes. Trail of Torment. We erred on the side of caution when releasing this perk. If the killer is undetectable too often, it can easily become overwhelming and start to overshadow actual stealth-based killers. After watching it play out, we are comfortable with giving Trail of Torment a buff. The undetectable status effect will now remain active until the mark generator stops regressing, or until the survivor is put into the dying state by any means. This creates an interesting dynamic where the survivors need to stop the generator from regressing to remove the undetectable status effect. The killer can use this to ambush survivors, or to use it to sneak up on a survivor from an unexpected angle. This perk I thought was pretty good on its own, and now it gets a really big buff. If they hit a generator that they know only one survivor is in that area, if they whack it, put pressure on that survivor, and they're running away, and let's say that's not the obsession, let's say they're not on a Discord call together, the other survivors won't know that person's being chased, or they'll hit that gen, and then nobody knows where the killer is. So that gives a lot of potential to killers who are very scary with stealth builds, like Hillbilly or the Blight. Fast-moving killers. It'll be very, very scary. Force Penance. Force Penance has some interesting applications, but the duration seems to be a little low to get much use out of the broken effect. We're increasing the duration of the broken effect by 20 seconds across all tiers. I like this move. I think it's very good. Blood Pact. Blood Pact's haste effect is nice to have, but did not last long enough to see much use. We are scrapping the duration for the haste effect, and instead making it last indefinitely until the two survivors are no longer within 16 meters of each other. There's some other miscellaneous perk changes, and in the previous developer Q&A, they did talk about having some bundles of perks they're going to be adjusting. So this won't be the last of it. We will see more bundles of perks adjusted in the future. Any means necessary is the first one. Reduced cooldown to 60 seconds. Added a score event for resetting a pallet. This is another perk that we erred on the side of caution when releasing. Resetting pallets can be a game changer, and we wanted to make sure that it would not get out of hand. Upon review, we are comfortable with decreasing the cooldown to 60 seconds. I think my friend Pickle will be really excited about that. He's the only person I know who runs this perk. And getting more points for doing this, for getting a score event for that, I think that's great. Cruel Limits. Increase radius to 32 meters. There were concerns with cruel limits being overbearing when the perk first launched, but it turned out to be a non-issue. We are increasing the range from 32 meters from its original 24 meters. So I'm not the biggest fan of cruel limits, and this change I think is fine. I don't see it being run into a lot of builds, but maybe it will get stronger later in the game as more generators are being fixed. For the People added a score event for using For the People. Shouts out to Zarina mains like myself. Mindbreaker, I'm really a big fan of this one. Mindbreaker, increased duration of the exhausted effect. The exhausted effect from Mindbreaker often ended up being too short to make use out of. We are increasing the duration by a few seconds across the board. I like this change. In a game where the current meta calls for people using Sprint Burst, Dead Hard, Lithe, all these exhaustion perks. I think Mindbreaker is a really good counter to those exhaustion perks. So I say this is a good change, adding more time to the amount that they get exhausted. I can see Mindbreaker making its way into some good builds. Slippery Meat removed bear trap escape chance and added an increased chance to self unhook. I never used Slippery Meat, probably never will. There's the notes if you're curious. Thanatophobia removed heal speed penalty and increased penalty on other actions. This is interesting. Thanatophobia is very useful for killers that can put a lot of survivors in a lot of pain in a real hurry. So I'll be interested to see how this particular change changes those killers, and if this becomes more viable for other killers. Thanatophobia is meant to encourage the survivors to heal in order to avoid the penalty from the perk. However, it currently reduces healing speed as well, creating a lose-lose situation no matter what the survivors do. This prevents us from making the perk stronger, as it would quickly get overbearing. To address this, we are removing the reduced healing speed from the perk, but increasing the action speed penalty to compensate. So what this means is that it'll take longer to do gens, take longer to cleanse totems, longer to open gates, all that stuff. So this will, just like Thanatophobia in its current state, will encourage survivors to heal each other. Sometimes it's hard to find your other survivors. Sometimes people want to gen rush. So I think it's a good change. We're going to live forever. Added new ways to get tokens. Added increased healing speed when healing a dying survivor. We're going to live forever is often seen as a survivor equivalent to barbecue and chili because it gives more blood points. But lacking a secondary like the ladders or a revealing, it can also cause survivors to compete for unhooks, leading to people rushing in for hook saves before it's safe. By adding additional ways to get tokens, we hope to reduce the competition between survivors. The secondary effect gives the perk more use within the trial. So yeah, you could potentially pick people up a lot quicker when killers slug. So I think we'll be seeing a lot more We're Gonna Live Forever. I like running it when I'm trying to grind out blood points, but if it has the added bonus of healing people who are slugged, and maybe getting those tokens a little bit easier, other than just taking protection hits and safe on hooks, I think that's a win. Technician. Increase the chance to prevent an explosion to 100%. Added an increased penalty to missed skill checks. Technician is designed as a perk to help newer players and those who struggle with skill checks. So right there, a lot of us veteran DBD players love to be really harsh on behavior when a perk comes out and it's like, oh, that doesn't help me one bit. What the hell? Like that's a trash perk. But like perks like Technician are there to help newer players. I tried it just to mess around with these really loud generators that are out there now, but it didn't really make much of a difference. So this is more for newer players. Can we stop talking about it now? Okay, let's move on. Pop Goes the Weasel. Pop Goes the Weasel gets a little bit of a nerf here. Decrease the time the perk stays activated to 45 seconds. I guess when it first started, it had a 30-second cooldown. And then it was later increased to 60 seconds, which 60 seconds in this game is a long time. And I do run Pop Goes the Weasel on my Deathslinger and, my Huntress. That's a lot of time. So they're adding some urgency back into the perk. So they split the difference and set it at 45 seconds, so 15 seconds less. I'm really, really interested to see how that changes things. Because there are times when I can down somebody, hook them, then go find somebody working on a gen, and then land 2 hits on them, and then hit the generator, and then go pick up the survivor I just downed, and then hook them. But I don't think I'll have all that time with working with 15 less seconds. There's also this note here about perk rarity simplification. Keeping with the theme of perks, a small change, but a noteworthy one nonetheless. All perks will now share the same rarities based on their tier lists. Currently, tier 3 perks can either be rare or very rare. This can make it difficult to find the perk you're looking for, since the perk list is sorted not just alphabetically, but also divided across 2 different rarities. Going forward, perk rarity will match the tier of the perk: uncommon, rare, and very rare. This makes it easier to find the perks you're looking for in your perk list, and also makes it easier to tell what tier a perk is at a glance. If they can make it easier to find things while you're going through perks, that's a bonus. I really wish we had the option to have loadouts, kind of like Call of Duty. I wish I had a, run the killer loadout, sneaky loadout, gen rush loadout, stuff like that. Can we get that next time, behavior? I would love something like that. And the last thing they include in this update, the developer update, is a graphics update that's coming to MacMillan Estate. Oh, let's put that up on the screen right now. This looks really cool. And from the developer Q&A from, I believe it was 2 weeks ago, they mentioned that everything is getting a rework, and probably in about a year, everything will be finished. So, yeah, look at these screenshots. It actually looks really cool. So I'm really, really excited to see what happens there with MacMillan Estate. The Shrine of Secrets this week is actually really, really good. We've got Leader, Hex Haunted Ground, Shadowborn, and Urban Evasion. All of those, I think, are useful. Some less than others, but hey, if you're looking to get some better perks as a survivor or killer or both, I don't think you can really go wrong with any of these. Like, seriously, this might be the best Shrine of Secrets I've seen in a very, very long time. So definitely pick them up if you can. If you're a survivor, I'd probably go Leader, then Urban Evasion, because Fixated is better than Urban Evasion. But if you don't have Nancy, get Urban Evasion. And then I would say Hex Haunted Ground and then Shadowborn for killer. And once again, both are really good. Shadowborn is used by a lot of streamers who like the wider field of view. And the last thing we're going to talk about really quickly is Cheryl's new outfit. Looks like this is a full costume, so you can't really customize, mix and match, stuff like that. And that's fine. For any of you who love skins, I think this is a fine option. And I just wanted to remind you one more time, I do stream on Twitch every Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I am a Dead by Daylight main. Zarina and Deathslinger are my two homies. I love them to bits. And if you like what you saw here today, please subscribe and like and leave a comment. Tell me how you found my channel. I'd love to hear how you've discovered my channel. And when you leave a like, comment, and subscribe, that helps me a great deal. There's a chance we might end up in other people's home pages, and that can get us more exposure. And that's what I'm really trying to do. And again, I'll be doing these news shows every week. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you in the fog.